So after we've finished all of our rows, we're going to have a piece of fabric that looks like this, with all the rows in. And then we're going to start threading our chains. And for your chains, you are going to just make one chain and just lay it down across the width, because you thread them down because we worked across. And I've left about 1 inch to 2 inches on the end. See, and I've just used a pin to pin them all so they don't all come back out when I'm going along. So we're going to make our chains. Mine was 120 chains, which worked out to be just long enough to go threaded through and just to hang out the end a little bit. So make one chain and then count how many you've got, and then make the rest of your chains. So I'm going to put the list of how many chains you've got to make of each colour. The first lot here is 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the grey. And when it threads through, it comes up like that. And then disappears on the grey section, and then reappears on the different colour. So go to the list, make all your chains, and then I'll show you how to thread it through. So your first lot is 6 lots of grey chains. So I'll show you how to thread them through. I've already done my 6, but they're all done basically the same way. So to thread it through, you can use a long needle, you can use a safety pin and pin it to the end of the chain. Or I've got this from a friend. This is an old knitting needle, plastic one, and her husband heated up the end and then put a hole into it. So it's basically like a huge needle. So thread or attach your pin, however you want to choose to do it. And what you're going to do is we're working up and down our blankets, because when you make your blanket you make it crossways, back and forwards, and you're going to be threading down the length of our bag. And what you do is you start on your first row. Just going to adjust the camera so I can see properly. You go to the first row and you can choose to go under the first post or over the first post, and whatever you choose you've got to do the opposite on the next one. So what you do, this is the last one that I just did. It is going over the top of that row, so our next one has to go under. So you do your first one however you like, it doesn't matter which way, it's just the next one has to be opposite. So you're going under the stitch, going over the next one, under the next one, over the next one, and under. So you're going under, over, under, over. But whatever you do on this first one, you have to do the opposite on the next one. So you're just going to weave. This is really hard to look at the camera. And do this at the same time. So you're just going in and out. And then you're just going to pull through. Don't pull through too far because you don't want to pull this out. So just pull it through until you've got about 1 inch hanging out. And what I did is I have a safety pin and I'm just pinning all the ends together. You can attach them as you go, or you can just leave them to the end. I'm going to leave them all to the end. Actually, you're going to have to leave them all to the end because we're making a bag and we're going to be scrunching up the sides. So I've come under this last one, so I need to go over, under, over, under. Hear that fly in the background? It's one of those big ones I've got in the house. So I'm just weaving in and out. And as you go, just make sure it's flat and make sure you've done it right as you go. And then continue this all the way. So I'm just going to quickly do this one. As you can see, this knitting needle, which has been modified, is so quick. I was using a safety pin, which is still good, still works. Then I went to my crochet group today, and this lady goes, "Oh, I've got one of these." Tell you what, it's a lifesaver. Okay, so gone all the way to the end. There we go. So just flatten it out to the best you can. The sides are going to be gathered, so if you're going to do the gathering option, you don't have to get them too flat on the edges because they're going to be pulled up tight anyway. So then you grab your next one, and you can see this because it's actually the same colour as blanket. We've gone under the first stitch with this one, so our next one has to go over the first stitch and then under the second one. And you alternate that as you go all the way, following the colour list. And I have started from the right hand side, no sorry guys, the left hand side of my blanket, so I'm actually working this way, working from the left hand side to the right hand side. So this is where I finished off my blanket, and down the other end is where I started. So just thread them. On this pattern it wouldn't really matter what side you start on because they're exactly the same, it mirror images across, so it's not going to matter if you start on the other side. So weave them all until you get up to the other end. So what I've done is I've threaded in all my chains. I'm going to show you how I did that. So what I would recommend is making one chain and then threading it through and seeing how long it is, and making sure that you've counted those chains as well before you thread it in. Before you thread it in, count your chains. So make sure they're the same length, because as you can see, I've got ones here that are just way too long, and I've actually got to undo all that chain there. So I'd recommend making sure they're all the same size when you count your chains. And what I've done is I've just placed some safety pins on here to let me know that's the inside of my bag. So my nice side is on the other side without the pins. So as I threaded it through, I threaded it back here and I've trimmed off all my ends. So if there are any that stick out, they're going to be on the inside of the bag. So this is what I do to thread the chains. I undo the chain, which sometimes can be hard, and if I can't get the knot undone, I just grab a pair of scissors and I cut it. I've actually got that knot undone. So let me try and zoom in. So I undo the knot. If you can't undo it, like I said, just chop it off. And then I get, you know, a hook or a needle, and I just put my needle into the loop, the little open loop there, and then I just pull it out. And then you should be able to, if you get it right, sometimes it doesn't work. If you get the right one, oops, and undo it the correct way, you can actually just pull the chains out. So pull them back all the way. Oop, helps you zoom out. So pull it back all the way until it's back to the rug, and then I'll show you what to do. So I've undone my chain, and what I'm going to do is going into the end of the blanket, and I'm just going to pick up 2 stitches. You guys see that? So I'm just sewing through. Let's see if I can get this the right way. Just sewing through the end 2 stitches on the actual rug, not the chain. And then I go back through the chain, right at the end of the chain. And if you guys can find an easier way to do this, feel free. And then I just thread the needle through the chain, and I just work it back down the chain. And I also try and pick up loops on this blue part, but try and pick up the loops on the bottom so you can't see it. And then just thread it down the chain like that. And then you just snip this off, and you just repeat this for all your chains.